campus of Xavier University.
Look.
WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump is indicating there will be more high-level meetings between the U.S. and China.
President Xi is coming here toward the end of September, and what we need is a big ballroom where we could hold thousands of people to see him.
Trump used the moment to highlight plans for a new White House ballroom, though Beijing has not yet officially confirmed the visit. Two Tennessee lawmakers, State Senators Ramesh Akbari and London Lamar, are demanding transparency after National Guard members fatally shot Black 20-year-old Tyron Johnson in Memphis. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigations is reviewing the incident, which authorities say began when Johnson allegedly pointed a gun during a foot chase. And LA County officials are investigating possible leaks in the murder case against singer David, real name David Burke. The probe centers on whether autopsy details were improperly released before becoming public. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily express the views or opinions of Equity Media, its management, staff, or affiliates of WBOK.
Greetings and salutations. We welcome you once again to the Hump Day edition of Black to Business, hosted by yours truly, Edward B. Coulon Smith, Chairman of the Board for New Orleans Region Black Chamber of Commerce. And today I have with me the founder, owner, and CEO of Set a Spell Vintage, Miss Pamela Pam Wood. Miss Wood.
Yes.
How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm well. You know, just coming off of that Essence Fest weekend.
Okay.
Trying to catch up on that rest if we
Got
can.
it. So before you get into who you are, so can you tell us about your Essence Fest weekend since you brought it up?
Yes, I had a 3-day bagged and blessed fest at my store. My store is a vintage and thrift store. And we just culminated like 3 straight days, and we're only usually open once a month.
Right.
And so I decided, let's expand it since the ladies are coming from all across the country. And the ladies came through. They had been watching my Instagrams, and they were like, I have to make the trek there. We had people from Philly. We had people from Virginia. We had people from Maryland. It was crazy. It really was.
So tell us about Set a Spell Vintage and how long it's been open and the whole concept about the bags.
Okay. So Set a Spell Vintage is actually an extension of my life as a stylist and costume buyer and designer for film and TV. Okay. And one day I looked in my house and I was like, oh, this place looks like a closet. And I said, I've got to move this stuff out of here. And so I actually decided to make it a brick and mortar store. For years, it lived online, and people knew me through styling. So I just extended myself and created the store. We're on our 3rd year, located at 3233 Loyola at that location. Hopefully, we're deciding whether or not we're going to stay there, but it has become a community spot for people to come through. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to see if we're going to keep it or move and expand, which is really the long shot. You know, we want to get to 10,000 square feet. Right now, we're at 2,000 square feet.
Okay.
But the gist is to eventually get to 10,000 square feet, a warehouse.
Got it. So it is a beautiful building.
Thank you.
Who is Pamela Pam Wood?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about yourself, including your educational and occupational experience.
Pamela Wood, I am an Aquarius. That should tell you a lot, right? So as an Aquarius, I tend to be good at a lot of things. Right. And so I actually started my career out in fundraising and philanthropy, which I'm still doing. I've been in philanthropy and fundraising as a consultant for 28 years now, and worked all over the country. I've worked for Bill and Melinda Gates. I've worked for FIT. I created their, and Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. I created their development department. Right now, I work for a small civil rights organization here in New Orleans called One, and we were a part of Step Up Louisiana. If anybody's familiar with the powerful work that Step Up has done, we are an extension of that, and now moving into our own era. How did I get into fashion? I grew up in the Bronx in New York, and every weekend, my mom would take me down to 34th Street to Macy's, to B. Altman's, to Lord and Taylor's. And there never was a time where I wasn't buying, now that I think about it from childhood. So we're going on decades. And eventually I expanded into styling friends, styling celebrities, styling other folks. And eventually I extended into designing. I designed for Full Figured Fashion Week for New York. I've done so much at this stage that I couldn't let it go when I came down here. I originally came down here for a job, and it was as the Chief Development Officer for WWOZ. And so, I go anywhere you want to go, so long as you take your talent, right? Okay. My degree actually is in history political science with a minor in economics. It has nothing to do with my career whatsoever. So I say this to young folks: you can start one place and end up in another entire environment. So yeah.
Okay, so you say you were Aquarius. I too am Aquarius, February the 5th.
Yeah.
So,
you're February 5th?
Yeah.
I'm February the 11th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, right around the corner.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Sister Aquarian.
Okay.
So how does Set a Spell Vince's differ from other Vince's stores?
Oh, well, first of all, it's an experience. The whole point was that I wanted to welcome you into what feels like my closet. When you step off the curb, you're not expecting when you open the door what you see.
Right.
You came in, did you say to yourself, oh, I wasn't expecting this, right? So it's all about creating an experience for people. And it is all about setting a spell. Set a spell is a double entendre, and that was intentional. So set a spell means set down in the Southern way and spend some time with me. I'm not going to rush you. And then set a spell also means set your intentions. When we say the word spell, spelling really is the derivative of casting, your intentions, setting a spell. Okay. And so I invite everybody who comes in, and they don't leave. They sit there on the couches, they drink. Oh, by the way, we do have drinks for folks. Cocktails, you can sit, then vibe, and you find other people that you vibe with. Right. Not necessarily has to be me. It's other people who come into the store. And I found that people have become friends, have their own friendships and lives outside the store, but they met there and set a spell. So it's a very interesting and eclectic experience.
So, and that's too why I put the song by Nina Simone, I Put a Spell on You.
I Put a Spell on You.
When I was advertising for this.
Yeah.
So if you want to phone in, call in, dial 504-582-9422. So you'll be a part of the conversation. Yeah. And then you can ask questions yourself to Miss Pam Wood as to what is going on with her and how you can get involved. So, Miss Pam, how can the members of the listening audience shop at Set a Spell? When are the doors open the next time?
So we are open monthly, and I post on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, our opening. So by once a month, usually about 3 weeks out, you'll see the date. We are still deciding on what we're going to do, whether it's the end of August. The end of August or the beginning of August. And so follow me on Instagram, which is the Set a Spell NOLA. And you'll see all my crazy antics because I do videos while I'm shopping and showing you what I'm bringing into the store. I bring about 1,000 new items in every month. So as soon as one bag sale is over, I literally am out the next day finding new things. And for those who don't understand a bag sale, it simply means you come into the door, you choose whether or not you want to buy a $20 bag, a $30 bag, or a $50 bag, and they're empty. So you go and fill it with whatever is in the store, in the center of the store, and literally people are just stuffing their bags. Like I tell them, pretend you're going to summer camp, roll that tight and put as much as you want in there. Right. Yeah, so it's a good time.
Okay. So what does Set a Spell Vintage bring to the New Orleans community?
Well, I am the first Black-owned, woman-owned, for-profit thrift vintage store in New Orleans, Louisiana. There are some wonderful other entities that are also doing it, but they are nonprofit or they're singularly coming on in pop-ups. And so I encourage everybody, if you see a Black woman vendor doing vintage and thrift, to please support her. What I bring is, like I said, the experience of Set a Spell. I work in TV and films as well as a costume buyer, which I mentioned earlier. And if you, in the recent last month or so, have been to the movies or watched the movies, I did Is God Is. So I am responsible for all the costume buying for that film. And that stars Sterling K. Brown, Janelle Monáe, Erica Alexander, and Vivica Fox. There are some wonderful folks in that film. But when you ask, what does a costume buyer do?
Right.
I am actually the person that is responsible for everything that is on every body on an actor in the film. Everybody. Wow. No stone goes unturned. And so I literally shop for a living, and it's good to see that It's getting such rave reviews. But to see the work that we did almost 2 years ago is amazing.
So if you have watched or seen As God Is, I'll go back and watch it again. Now you know who the person is that dressed everybody. Yeah. So go back and look at the costumes. Now tell us about some other movies that you have worked with recently or worked with on. And I know when I was in the store the other week, you was telling me about some of the movie props that are in the store that came from a Academy Award winning movie that was filmed in Louisiana and the surrounding areas.
Absolutely. I'm going to start with the first part of the question. I have worked on Queen Sugar, also as the buyer for the 7th season. I am also the archivist for all 7 seasons for Queen Sugar with the Smithsonian. And so that means we went through all 7 years worth of clothing and episodes to see what we would send to the Smithsonian, which was a monumental job, but it felt really good on my heart. So one day, if they decide to mount a Queen Sugar exhibit, know that my hand was in that, Also, I've worked on the 2-time Oscar-nominated film, The Nickel Boys. I'm also the buyer for that. Also a great film. Leverage. If you've ever watched the show Leverage, I've also worked on that. It's just, it's been a constant, and I've been very grateful once coming here to New Orleans, Louisiana. And I'm actually the only Black buyer in our union, IATSE 478. And so it is a powerful opportunity to express, through clothing. I know for some people, clothing is just it's whatever. But the reality is every character requires thought and process, and how they look, how they match up against the star that they may be standing next to.
Right.
You have to downplay the color for this person in order for that person to shine, And so there are lots of things that come into it. I forgot the last part of your question.
The Academy Award. Movie.
So about Sinners. So Sinners has actually just been a labor of love for me in terms of I did not work on the film, but I actually did go and buy the props when they were up for auction. And it was a surprise to me. It was down the street from me, the auction house. And I said, I'm going to go. And I bought as much as I could, and I've preserved it in the store. You feel free to come to the store and just look at the props from Sinners, because it will jog your memory about what you saw on the screen. I'm very fortunate also to be best friends with the key makeup artist, Alison LaCour. She too was Oscar nominated. Okay. And so there is a lot of talent here in little old New Orleans, not just in music, but in all of the arts. Yeah.
All right. So can you tell the listening audience, where is Set a Spell Vintage located?
Yeah.
And why did you choose that location?
Okay, so I had been looking for a location for at least 6 months, with a realtor, and every place I went was just disturbing, meaning that the landlords did not take care of the location. They really didn't care, and it was subpar for what I wanted. And I'd always wanted a corner store ever since coming to New Orleans. I wanted to buy a corner store and live in it, and I just happened to be driving by down that street, and I looked up and I was like, for lease, do they mean, because there were 6 apartments above this particular store. I thought they were talking about the apartment. Turns out it was the store. So I called my realtor, and the price was right. And I was like, you know what? It was meant to be. And that's how we got to be there. Yeah. Oh, we're at 3233 Loyola, which is around the corner from the post office on Louisiana Avenue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I know most people, you were saying mid-city, and I'm like, all right. That is
Central
always,
City.
Well, Central City.
Yeah.
That has always been uptown.
I know.
To many of us. But hey, it is a beautiful location. And like I was driving down the street and I saw the building, I was like, wow. So looks like, we have a caller.
Oh, okay.
Come on, caller. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yes.
Are you taking a call?
Yes, you're on the air.
Oh, great. I'm going to ask you a very interesting guess. When you say you do the costumes for the set, where would you go in New Orleans? Because there's no more. I know. There's no more DH Homes or Maison Blanche or Krauss on Canal Street and stuff. So how difficult is it to shop? I guess maybe vintage wise, but are these modern design clothes, or are these more vintage styles, or is it a combination of both?
It is absolutely a combination.
And one more question, please.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do you hire like local clothes designers, those who can sew and design and sew their own outfits and stuff like that? So I just am interested in that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That is a great question. Yes. So I have to source from all over the world, not just New Orleans. So if it's a contemporary film, I do try and buy locally as best I can. You're right. A lot of stores are gone. Listen, we just lost Saks Fifth Avenue. And can I tell you, I was the queen of going to Saks Fifth Avenue if it was a high-end particular character that I had to clothe. But I have gone to, as you said, thrift and vintage stores. I also have a collection of my own that I do rent out. I do a lot of online shopping. I do go to houses that are strictly for wardrobe. We used to have quite a few wardrobe houses here in New Orleans. They too have gone out of business. So sometimes we have to do West Coast shopping. West Coast still has some of these huge wardrobe closets, like I want to say Warner Brothers still has theirs going, but a lot have sold off during COVID. So you're right, it is difficult, but under the pressure, you make it happen. And when I say there's pressure in the room to get that stuff in my designer's hands so that she can put it on the characters, it's a hustle. You literally have to get into the designer's mind because they are looking for you to be out there. They can't be out on the streets buying. They have to be at the set. And so it is my responsibility to be in tune with the designer and be like, okay, I can source this. And I'm making calls all over the world to make sure I get that there. It could be by FedEx, by DHL. It's got to be there.
Got to be there.
Yeah.
So can you tell the listening audience about the process of starting a business and maintaining a business such as yours? Listen,
I, by great fortune, had a little bit of money come into my pockets, a sale of a house. And I made some choices. Was I going to buy another house, which I eventually built another one? But I squirreled away some of that money from that sale and used that as the foundation to start this store. Okay. So I already had the clothing. That wasn't a hard thing to source for me. I just pulled it out of my house and started. But I needed the fixtures. I needed all of the things, hangers. My God, the price of hangers. It's the little things. It's the minutia that really eat up your budget. But I just put it all out there and said, it's sink or swim. If I fail, I fail, but at least I tried. And so it has been 3 years of 2 years were a struggle. In the last year, I've kind of gotten the formula down pat. So now I feel comfortable in moving to a larger space. But it is a constant, again, a hustle that I was used to. And so I have a passion about clothing. So to me, it doesn't weigh as hard on me to do all of this work, but especially when you're working for yourself, because you're on a 24/7 clock.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I just had an idea.
Yeah.
And we have all these carnival organizations, whether it's Zulu, who has a whole bunch of character class, including the king, who has his queen that has all these clothes that they have to get. So do you do anything like that? And if so, how can they get in contact with you to possibly put you on as the person that would get them dressed?
Well, for styling, I am always available. And I actually had the pleasure of designing the costume for the Queen of Dumaine one year. And that is the lovely Bernetta. Bernetta, if you're out there, I love you to death. And she looked fabulous. Let me tell you, the last caller talked about a designer and being a seamstress locally. I think that is the bag to get into.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm glad to style people, but as far as working and sewing, I leave that to those who really have that time and commitment, because these things are spectacular to create. But yes, absolutely. Give me a call.
All right. So what message do you want to send to aspiring visionaries such as yourself?
The closest people to you will not necessarily understand your dream.
Wow.
And that's okay.
Can you say that again?
The closest people to you will not necessarily understand your dream. And you know why? It's not their dream. And so don't be discouraged by those who don't have the same faith you do and don't have the same vision you do. We all have our own eyes. We all have our own vision of what we and who we are. And so you can't rely on others to be as bought in as you. People like to join after the success, you know?
Right.
And that's just the reality of life. So I would say do not be discouraged by those who are closest to you because they don't have the vision that you do. And I encourage you to say, you know what? I'm going out on a limb and I'm going to do it. Do it in secret. Do it in quiet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to expose everything you're doing to everyone every time because sometimes your very presence disturbs other souls.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're not aware of that, you know, you can be kind of flustered and thrown off your game simply because your spirit, and if it's a good light, it disturbs others. The moment you come in the room, it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay because they're reflecting on their own lives, you know, and to them that might be a little painful. So
One of my favorite quotes says, to
Yeah.
lead others out of darkness, let them see your light.
exactly.
Let your light shine, and you should not have to dim your light to let others shine.
Right.
Illuminate with them and through them, and allow them to illuminate through you.
Exactly. You know, there's a song, a rap song. I can't think of the rapper, but he said, "You can have all the light. I don't mind. I absolutely do not mind anybody else having all the light because I have my own. I'm responsible for this particular light that I was given. You know, I cannot be fixated on the other person's right. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So have you experienced any ups and downs in your professional life? And if so, how do you get through those, and how do you get past them to get where you are?
Oh, I think as a Black woman, you have to be the queen of the pivot. Pivot. If you are not on your pivot, just breathe in and go, okay, let me turn in this other direction. This direction is not working. Absolutely. I've had very difficult times, bottom of the barrel times, you know, but the reality is if you, once again, trust in your own vision, there are lots of people who, if you don't consider yourself the main actor in your story, here's an analogy. If you don't consider yourself the main actor, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble because other people will make you a secondary character in your own film, in your own life.
Get behind the curtain.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I thought you were my second. No, I'm actually the primary character.
Oh, yeah.
So the onus is really on you to take it in hand and be like, okay, this was a tough time, but I am the main character. What would a main character and protagonist do? Okay, they're going to pivot. And they're going to think, okay, there are other things I could be doing. There are other things I'm talented at, you know? But yeah.
Okay. So let's get into the NORBCC community calendar on next Wednesday, which is Wednesday, July the 15th, 2026. We will have Taste of Louisiana, Utah with Chef Helen as our guest on the radio. So please tune in to hear what Chef Helen has to say. Also, on this Saturday, 7/11/26, the Uptown Music Theater presents Matilda, the musical junior, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at 900 Camp Street, and that is directed by my nephew, Justin.
Okay.
So please go see Matilda. And also this Saturday, it will be the 3rd annual middle school football camp, and that will be led by my frat brother, Coach Jabbar Jaloop, from 9A to 11A, and those are ages 6 to 13. So please look out for the information. Get your kids registered to be there. Also on this Saturday, 7/11/26 to 2027, Zulu Character Class Appreciation Party. All of them throwing a party together, so guess what that will be? That will be a damn good time. So please be there, and it will be in both buildings, the Galapion building as well as the Zulu Lounge. And then on Wednesday, July the 22nd, 2026, at Suno at 6 p.m., School of Business Auditorium, the NORBCC membership mixer, membership drive. So please be there as well. That is free $99. You can contact yours truly if you have not gotten the information. I can be reached at 225-802-9634 or norbcc.chairman2025@gmail.com. And then on Friday, August the 7th, 2026, the Louisiana Chamber of Commerce Foundation will be having a regional tour here in New Orleans. So please sign up to be there. I will be hosting the NOLA HBCU crew party train to Birmingham, Alabama for the Southern University A&M College versus Alabama State game. And that will be leaving out on 8/28/26 and returning on 8/30/26. And please, 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 everybody that participated in Essence, loved everything that you did. You all look beautiful. Let's keep it up. And I pray that the city of New Orleans signs a new contract. Also, I've been hearing a lot about the city of New Orleans going underwater on the next storm. So please take heed. Please take all the precautions that you need. And my last community calendar update, rest in peace to my frat brother Senator Larry Selders, who died on yesterday, who was truly a gentle giant. So please pray for his family, in particular his wife and his 2 sons. Please, 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 in the words of James Brown, pray for them. If you need any other things or any other information, I can be reached at 225-802-9634 or norbcc.chairman2025@gmail.com. So, Sister Pam.
Yes.
Tell us about who or what has motivated you to be the person that you are.
Oh, I think New York City, if that's a what or a who. You know, it's just you get up in the morning as a child and it's time to go. And I have not lost that hustle. And my dad definitely is one of those people who's a hustler. My mom, she has 3 master's degrees. There's no reason for me to hide this light, to sit down. They pay good money for my education. Let's go. Every day, it's let's go.
All right, and there it is. As I always say, my mama worked too damn hard for me not to be great.
Right.
So thank y'all for tuning in, and see y'all on next Wednesday on the 15th. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again. Thank you, Miss Pam.
Thank you.
All right.